The 8-year-old me that listened to Taylor and like was obsessed with Fearless is like so like dying inside that like the fact that that's happened is an achievement in itself. Hey, it's Griff and you're watching Billboard News.
Hey, I'm Lindsay for Billboard News, and we're here with the stellar singer-songwriter Griff.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So you have some super exciting tour announcements, and then obviously your debut album that we've all been waiting for. So it was announced that you're opening for Sabrina Carpenter this fall.
Yes.
Congratulations on that one.
Thank you.
So if you can remember, how did you find out that this was happening?
I was doing my first ever European tour and I just finished a show and I was getting on the tour bus and my tour manager called me and I had to step off. And he was like, so, Sabrina Carpenter wants you to join her on tour, which was obviously so surreal and it's such an honor that she would want to have me. I bumped into her for the first time at a Grammy party last time I was in LA. And then I saw her last time she was in the UK for a festival. So that was nice to like fully hang out and say hi. But yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah.
You are such a good addition to anybody's tour, let me just tell you
kind.
that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Have any like pre or post show rituals yet?
My pre-show ritual usually involves like me figuring out what I'm gonna wear, like trashing my dressing room full of clothes and makeup, warming up, praying with my team, feeling really, really nervous, and then going on. And then after the show, it's usually just like a big sigh of relief that hopefully nothing went wrong and crack open a bottle of wine.
Sounds perfect.
Yeah.
Usually like the second you step on stage, do those nerves go away or does it take a song or two?
No, it definitely takes a song or two. Definitely always my first song is my most rocky song and then by the second I feel like I've got a grasp of what I'm doing.
You and Sabrina have in common, she opened for Taylor. You are opening a date on Taylor's London trek,
yes.
Which again, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I'm obsessed with this story. It sounds like this opportunity first came about when you were at a Kendrick Lamar show. So tell me a little bit more about how you actually ended up opening for Taylor.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy actually. It was around the time that she just announced like Eras actually. Kendrick was performing in London and I last minute decided to go with my brothers and we were sitting in this box and I kind of looked to my left and I'm like, that's Taylor. And I didn't really want to like try and like wave over like just in case everyone would be like usher away this crazy fan. So I just like went up the stairs to go to the toilet and I thought I'd just try and wave and see if I could catch her eye. And then she like ran over and like gave me a hug and we chatted and then it was the first time she mentioned like maybe me joining her on tour, which was crazy.
I love her so much and I'm so happy she decided to come out and perform and open up this show. Will you please give it up, because this is her hometown show. Griff was here tonight.
You do so much, you know, you're songwriting, you're producing, you're doing all of the things behind the scenes. What is something that you've learned just from watching Taylor about kind of how to be a businesswoman in music?
I think it's really clear that she just is at a point where she's just writing and doing things that she wants and for her and her fans. It's like completely about that relationship, which is so cool and so hard to do at that scale. And yeah, I think it's evident that she's so in control of every aspect of her music and I'm always so inspired that like to be at that scale and be so close to the songwriting process still is like really what it's about for me.
How do you feel like you prioritize that in your own career as you continue to get busier too?
It was definitely like a reality shock coming out of like the pandemic and going on tour and being like, oh, I'm not like in the studio every day. So with this album, I kind of just, in between all my tours, I'd book a random Airbnb and then take myself there, like pack up my car with all my music equipment and then like convert like a living room or kitchen and try and make that like my studio space for a few days. And I guess that was my way of just like, I don't know, quieting down the noise and just going away and writing and trying to write something that felt really true and honest and, you know, from the heart, I don't know.
I mean, I think that's why your songs connect so much, is because it is authentically you, and then in turn it ends up being authentically a lot of us too.
Oh, thanks.
What did you hope to get from opening for Taylor?
The 8-year-old me that listened to Taylor and like was obsessed with Fearless is like so like dying inside that like the fact that that's happened is an achievement in itself.
Given like how grand this tour is there anything that you've taken for your own headlining tour upcoming or learned from?
Yes, I am going to try and do a 3-hour set. I'm joking. I'm joking, that's crazy. Like the stamina and like the level of performance is so insane on that show. I would really hope like the way that Swifties are just like from the start to finish like screaming these lyrics as if it's like their like therapy chant is like so amazing and emotional, and I really hope that that same environment will be there for when I go on tour.
So you're on headlining tour, kicks off in September.
Yeah.
I hear time and time again that like preparing for tour is like an athlete preparing to compete. Are there things that you're trying to do right now just to kind of get everything across the board, like mind, body, soul, in the right space for that?
Yeah, I'm kind of figuring it out because it's kind of my first time doing a proper full tour because I've spent so much time on support tours. So now it's like figuring out set list, figuring out like how it's gonna look. And then I kind of low-key need to get on the treadmill. And like, I need to, basically next on my to-do list is to like get on the treadmill and then every day sing like Black Hole or Vertigo on a treadmill just so I can get used to the like, because yeah, I just like when I get on stage I just can't help it like spinning and jumping and like darting back and forth, and then I get to the second song and I'm like, I'm not ready for this. So yeah, I guess I probably need to just get physically fit.
The videos, I don't know if you've seen them with Miley Cyrus running and singing.
So many people do it, yeah, it's like such a classic singer cliche.
I can barely like walk uphill and talk, so.
I know, same girl, I've got a lot of work to do between now and then.
Well, it'll be amazing, very excited to see the tour.
Thank you.
You mentioned, you know, you have had some amazing support opportunities in the past, like Dua Lipa, Coldplay, which I know that relationship has sustained. How do you think all of those moments got you ready for where you're at now?
There's nothing quite like just being thrown out in front of like an arena or a stadium full of people that kind of just want to sing Don't Start Now or Yellow, do you know what I mean? Like they don't really want to see you, so I think it like makes you like a better performer. And when you do it every single night, I think I've just grown as a performer, so yeah, it was like real boot camp, I think, for touring and how to perform.
And so your headlining tour will be in support of your long-awaited debut album, which we've been teasing out over 3 parts.
Yeah.
So the 3rd part has arrived. Tell me about the strategy or the desire to release this in 3 parts.
I got to a point where there was like 100 songs in my Dropbox folder, and I was like, okay, I need to make sense of this and make a bit of a project. And I think when I was listening to the music, I realized that there was this real like emotional thread of like, all these songs were desperately heartbroken, and all these songs did feel like I had like emotional vertigo writing them. And I almost wanted to tell the story of like starting from a really low, insular place and like end on part 3 where it feels way more euphoric, and like, even though these songs are like heartbreaking, there is a sense of like, yeah, euphoria and like anthem to them. So yeah, that's kind of the journey we've been going on up until now.
So they were all written around the same time?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, in different pockets over the last couple of years, really. Like in between touring, some of the songs like Into the Walls and stuff is like 2-3 years old. Where Did You Go? And then some songs like Cycles or Tears for Fun are maybe only like a few months or a year old. So yeah, they've kind of been in different stages.
How does this 3rd component now sort of complete the story for you and complete the chapter? Like, why were these songs the ones to come last?
I almost wanted to tie the bow of this story of like having emotional vertigo and how heartache can feel like that with just like some real feel-good, like anthemic, euphoric pop, really.
Yeah.
Definitely for me as like a body of work, I definitely look at all of 14 songs as like, yeah, I don't know, my own emotional roller coaster within the last 2 years.
That's what I love. Some of the songs, like, you don't even realize that they're sad because they're so up-tempo. And then as you're singing along, you're like,
wait, why am I crying?
yeah, exactly. You do that very well.
Thanks.
So Coldplay's Chris Martin, like I said, that relationship has sustained. He's on the song Astronaut, which I love. How did that come to be?
He's like one of a kind human. When I joined him on tour, he was just asking me about new music, and he was like, I'd love to hear some new songs. I was like, sure, that'll never happen. And then it did, and we sat down and listened to basically this album in its early stages, and he was giving me loads of amazing advice. And with Astronaut, I produced it up in like quite a big, heavy, like synth way, and he was like, you kind of need to just like strip that one back, or like maybe put it on piano. And then I decided to ask if he wouldn't mind helping me do that, and he kindly said yes. And so he plays the pianos on the song, which is so surreal. It was like the craziest thing being in the studio with him and have him finish the song. Yeah, it's still kind of crazy to talk about.
So another single I want to talk about is the latest one, which is Anything.
Yeah.
Why did that feel like the appropriate one to have out at time of release for the album?
I've been building up to a bit more of like euphoric climax, if you like.
Yeah.
And I think Anything is that. It's like a really desperate song about almost when you find love at like a young age, and there's this like power imbalance, and it's like, do you realize that I would have done anything? Like, if you told me to jump, if you told me to go like underground, like I really would have done anything. And there's something so like innocent and desperate and like kind of also sad about that.
Is there one song on this album that surprised you at the end that you've just been listening to kind of nonstop, or do you walk away from your album?
I think Tears for Fun and Hiding Alone to me are like my low-key like underdog favorites.
Is there one song that you're most excited to perform live?
I don't know, I'm so excited for all of them. I'm always excited to sing Vertigo because it's just fun singing that with the crowd. And I think Tears for Fun will be a really fun one for an audience to sing along with.
So as I mentioned, you're not only a songwriter, but you're producing your own work as well. Why, from the start, was that important for you to have your hands in all aspects?
Yeah, I mean, at the start, I didn't realize it was such like a crazy thing that,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just taught myself how to make beats because it was like a pastime and a hobby, and it was only when I started like getting in the industry more that everyone was so shocked that I was like a female producer in a way. But it just made sense because it's like creative industries, especially the music industry, it's so hard to get into, and I didn't know how to like ask for it or like wait on a producer to make a track. I was like, well, I just want to write a song, so I'm going to try and figure it out. I don't know, I just love it. I love making things. It's like my favorite thing to write a song and to produce a song. So for me, it doesn't feel right almost to give that part of me up, I love spending hours listening to a snare or a synth or tweaking the chords, like it just gets me going.
Have you noticed, since you started even till now, that changing at all, that it's becoming more common, that everyone can produce if they want to?
It's baby steps, like it's still, I can't remember the latest stat, but I think we're still at what, like I think it's 2 or 3% music producers are female, which is crazy. It's definitely something we're talking about more. I mean, it was so cool seeing like Pink Pantheress win Producer of the Year. For the Women in Music event, it's cool that that's like an award now and we're like drawing more attention to it. So it's still wildly imbalanced, and when girls go into sessions and go into rooms, it's still so assumed that like the person behind the desk is a guy, and I guess it's just like about talking about it more and doing it more and encouraging more like young female talent in the industry to just like don't wait on a dude to do what you need to do,
Yeah. That applies to life.
Yeah, exactly. Just across
Get
the
it
board.
done.
Yeah, just get it done, girls. We've got this.
In addition to everything I've said that you do for yourself, you have written hits for other people. You've worked with Haley Steinfeld, with Petrus. What's the main difference that you find when you're writing for yourself versus with the intention of it being for someone else?
I'd say writing for myself is so much more, I'm so much more in my head, like there's so much more overthinking that happens. I think I love collaborating with people and I love doing sessions and I love writing, and so I'm so up for like if a song wants to go to like in a different direction and not for me. And when it comes to my project, I think I'm just a bit more like personal with it, and it is like such a, I mean, everyone says this album's so personal to me, but like it like really is that even with the collaboration process, I think I find it easier to write songs for myself when it's just me and I'm making the beat and I'm writing the song, or I let in like one friend or something. But generally, yeah, I think that's the big distinction, that like for my process, there's maybe less collaboration in that sense.
Are there people down the road that you would love to collaborate with? Do you have that bucket list somewhere in mind?
I'm kind of down to work with like so many people. I feel like obviously it'd be amazing to work with Jack Antonoff because his track record is just insane. James Blake, I think, is an amazing producer.
I was thinking of him for you too.
Or like Labyrinth is an amazing producer that I would love to work with. So yeah, I don't know, I guess I've got a long list, but I'm down to work with everyone.
You've had this album for so long already. How do you find yourself staying connected to these songs, as I'm sure part of you is also ready to move on from them?
It's not that hard for me. I'm very connected to these songs. Like if I could, I would still be tweaking the mixes and the productions like 10 years on. I also think like the beauty of like making this album has been like, yeah, I started with like such a big volume of ideas and songs, like 100 ideas. And like picking the songs that would make it on the album, it was about the ones that moved me the most, and it was about the ones that like after hours and days of like working on the production, I still wasn't sick of the sentiment and the chorus still moved me, and so I'm pretty sure that like this selection of songs are like songs that I feel really connected to regardless of how long I've had them or when they were written.
Have you had any inkling in the back of your mind of adding some of the ones that didn't make it down the road?
Yeah, I don't know, I've like on socials like been like, oh, maybe I'll just throw them all up on SoundCloud one day or like do something like that. So I'm sure some of them will see the light of day. Or they won't, I don't know. Maybe I'll go back on them and be like, these are terrible, I'm not putting these out at all.
It's nice that if you ever need, you have this collection to fall onto.
Exactly, yeah.
And because of, we've talked about so many exciting things, Sabrina tour, Taylor tour, your tour, album. Looking ahead, is there just one thing or one experience that you're most excited for down the road?
I don't know, there's a lot to get done this year touring wise, but I'm really excited to just do it. I feel like I've been waiting for this moment for a really long time. I'm just really excited to sing these songs with like an audience that have bought tickets to my show.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's like a bit cliche and simple, but again, when you've had songs sitting on your laptop for so long, hearing them in a room with people singing along like takes on a whole new life.
And to meet some of these fans probably for the first
Yeah,
time.
exactly, because I think I also really got started in the pandemic,
Yeah.
where I couldn't do any shows and I couldn't tangibly meet an audience. And then I spent so long doing support that actually the feeling of like people showing up to my shows is still like a completely new concept to me.
I will be in attendance. I cannot wait.
Yes, please come.
And congrats again on
Thank
everything.
you.
I'm just so excited for you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming by.
Cheers.